We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist. Share it with your priest. Share it with your significant other. Share this video across all your social media platforms. Welcome into the house, into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend. Don't be afraid to be a PATC legend in the comments or in the phone calls later in the show. Welcome in, everybody. The title of the show is Stanford, California. They're the next dominoes to fall. But where are they going to end up? Where are they going? We're going to be talking about that. That's our main issue for today. We're also going to be talking about Florida State. And we're going to lead off with California, Stanford. But I got a bone to pick with 247 Sports. I got a bone to pick with an opinion piece. You guys know I'm a Golden Gopher. And I spend about an average of 30 seconds to show talking about the Golden Gophers. This is a national college football program. We peek around the corner at everything college football. So I don't bring in my maroon and gold only when I do watch parties of the Golden Gophers. But I got to tell you, I saw the quarterback rankings. That's not cool, man. That's Ethan Kaliakmanis, the Greek rifle, where 247 has them rated among all 69 Power 5 programs. Are you kidding me? Didn't you watch the game versus Wisconsin? At Wisconsin last year? Tell me how many of those 69 cats on that list could have had the game Ethan Kaliakmanis had against Wisconsin. Not many. He was a redshirt freshman. And we'll get to that. But I am hot. I am hot just out of spite. I'm raising the Golden Gophers record from 6-6 to 7-5 this year. Just out of spite because of that quarterback ranking. All right? So, okay, let's get to, first of all, Cloak and Dagger. Holy smokes. Drink responsibly. Also go to our merchandise store. I always forget to bring that up. Go to our merchandise store. There's t-shirts added. You get the mug. There's a link provided in the description. The little general's watching, so I have to remind you, go to the merchandise store if you have a chance. There's going to be some new stuff going on there when the college football season starts. Okay. Now, Stanford, California. We're going to discuss the options that they have. Right before we came on live, John Wilner, the Mercury News, puts out an article. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read you one part of it. Just a couple of about 5 paragraphs. We're going to start out the show. We weren't going to start out the show this way, but this article just popped, and I want you all to be aware of it. Okay? Developments are, now this is about the middle of the article. Developments are unfolding rapidly from coast to coast, with ACC presidents discussing the benefits of a Western arm. The University of California Regents meeting Tuesday morning, to discuss Cal's future, and Stanford leaning on its influential alumni base and powerful allies. And Stanford has some powerful allies, right? You guys all know this. They're making the phone calls. There's a lot of cloaking going on. There's a lot of things going behind the scenes. Resolution could come first from the ACC, where expansion to the West Coast seemingly has few benefits for anyone, with the possible exception of its media partner, ESPN. So maybe ESPN wants to do it. They have some late night potential options for late night fourth window programming that ESPN can put on for the ACC. So it might have some benefits for ESPN. But does it have benefits for those other ACC schools? With California and Stanford in the fold, the network would have more football games available in the Pacific time zone, especially for the 7:30 p.m. Pacific Coast time broadcast window. Additionally, the Bay Area media market would generate subscribers for the ACC network. I guess, yes, it would. It would. Which is owned by ESPN. Would it result in a material revenue increase for the 14 current members? That's unlikely. Again, I'm reading from John Wilner, Mercury News. This article just popped about 5 minutes before we came on live. Membership in the Big Ten makes far more sense for California and Stanford, and for USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. Now, when I'm done with this article, Peek Around the Corner is going to give you our best shot at what's about to happen. Okay? So stick with us here when I read this article. Membership in the Big Ten makes for more sense for California and Stanford, and for USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. A 6-team Western Division would create a heavy load of regional conference games, limiting the number of cross-country trips for athletes in Olympic sports. It would reduce West Coast travel for the Big Ten's 14 current members as well. The additions of Stanford and California would create first-rate academic alignment, always consideration for university presidents, and provide the Big Ten with access to the Bay Area tech scene and its immense alumni base in the region. But only one vote matters. Will Fox, the Big Ten media's overlord and the puppet master behind USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington moves, will they agree to pay for it? Big Ten schools won't approve any expansion that depletes their media revenue stream. Fox would need to front the cash earmarked for Stanford and Cal. I'm going to skip a couple paragraphs. For Stanford and California, entry into the Big Ten would carry greatly reduced revenue shares, perhaps as low as 25% for the bulk of the contract term. But does Fox see enough value in Stanford and California football brands in the Bay Area media market to muster another $200 million or more? The second hurdle is equally daunting. What happens when the Big Ten's broadcast contract expires in 2030? We're deeply skeptical that Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State would approve splitting that windfall equally with the Bay Area duo. Would the Cardinal and Bears agree now to take reduced revenue shares deep into the 2030s? If that's their only path into the Big Ten and the ACC doors closed, there's no decision to make. They sign on the bottom line, breathe a deep sigh of relief, start booking flights to Bloomington and Iowa City. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming on in. I'm going to tell you what our take is at Peek Around the Corner once again. Skull Ducky, Baylor 12, Patrick, let's go. Laura Weiss, Texas Tech, Red Raiders in the house. Struthers, thanks for coming on in. Sean, thank you. Tony, Tough Tony. Troy, what's up, Greg? I don't know. I'm not sure what's up. Nick Flynn, hello. Nice to see you. John Menser, I'm thinking not the Big 12 for Stanford and California. Skull Ducky, Matt Neeson, good afternoon. Go Cyclones. Guy Gutzman, what's happening? Stephen McNeely, I've buckled up my head to keep it from swiveling. I see another article ahead, keeping your head on a swivel. They put that line in the article. I posted it on my Twitter account. Everybody is stealing PATC lingos when they're writing their articles about realignment. Scott P., we are live. We are live. Jeff Olson. Evil Badger is in the house. Ryan Brooks. A. Mac, Jim F., John Coy, GT. Is there any chance Stanford and California will get to the Big Ten eventually? I'm going to get to that within the next minute or so. Juan Carlos, Whoa Nelly, Keith Jackson, Kirk Bender, day's going great. Gold Nose, FSU, happy Tuesday, everybody. Florida State, tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. We're 8 days away from August 15th. What is it going to be? What is it going to be? We're going to be talking about that. Open the gates, ACC. Open the gates, John Coy says. Mildly depressed Aztec, San Diego State Aztec. Thanks for coming into the house. I appreciate it. Options are limited, I'm sure, but the ACC makes 0 sense. Heglo. Scott P., thanks for coming on in. Holy smokes, Clinton Moses. Nope, I am not in the interview process for the president's job at the University of Minnesota. Yeah, I did not get through the front. They don't even let me. They don't let me enter into the front door, even as a civilian at the University of Minnesota. Thanks for all coming in. There's so many people in here. Immaculate says I could see football only. So let's get to it. About 5 or 6 days ago, 7 days ago, I don't know, all these days are running together. We at Peek Around the Corner said that the Stanford, California, the options of them becoming the 19th and 20th member of the Big Ten Conference was cold. There was nothing going on. There was no work happening between Stanford and California. They were not being vetted. Today is Tuesday, August 8th. We're in the middle of the afternoon here at Central Time, and we are confirming that once again. We do not believe California and Stanford is going to be ending up in the Big Ten at this time. Sometime down the future, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we'll keep our options open. We still believe it is cold. It's not happening. Now, I know there's people that disagree with us. There's people that think, just like John Wilner here, he put down a pretty good argument. The same reason, almost the same reason the Big Ten took Oregon and Washington, because they were coming in very inexpensive. They did a cost-benefit analysis. It turned out it was a good time to bring them in. You have a 6-team West division. Easier travel for UCLA, USC. All the reasons that we brought up that the Big Ten was going to bring Oregon and Washington in 5 months from now or 5 years from now. People now are using the same argument for Stanford and California. I get it. But I can only give you, PATC community, our best shot. If it happens an hour from now or 1 month from now that California Stanford joins the Big Ten for 2024 or 2025 or 2026, we will take the L here at Peek Around the Corner. I will start the show saying we take the L. That's what we do here. We don't do it often, but when it happens, we start the show by announcing our L's, our losses. We can only tell you what we believe to be true. California, Stanford, the title of the show is The Next Dominoes to Fall. Where are they going to go? They're not going to go to the Big Ten. I can understand the logic. I get it. Thank you, Cameron B., for the super chat. Thoughts on the alleged Big 12 ACC alliance. I didn't know they had an alliance. I don't think there's going to be an alliance. We'll get to that in a second. Cameron B., thank you so much for your super chat. But I don't think there's any alliances with anybody with the ACC. I can only give you what a peek around the corner, what we have been told And we're going to go with that because that has been, we poked and prodded. And, our success here of the last, whatever, how many months, the Colorado, the Oregon, Washington. We understand the logic of a California Stanford, but we have been told once again here at Peek Around the Corner, it's not happening. Big Ten, it's not happening. If it happens, we'll take the L. So, now you can, with your comments, with your phone calls, you are free to speculate. California, Stanford, they're going in the Big Ten. You can call it. You can predict it. You can say you know some information. All that is open here at Peek Around the Corner. I'm just telling you from our standpoint, from what we are being told, it's not happening. So, because this little part of the show is the only part of the show that I can control, the monologue. When we talk about Stanford and California's options, where they're going to go, we've eliminated the Big Ten. And it's okay if you disagree. And you can tell me I'm wrong. You can call this show up here in a little bit at 763-260-1333 and tell me I'm wrong. But that is the information we have received. We have received it more than once. So take it how you want. So where's California and Stanford going to go? Let's take a look at an article here. They got to go somewhere. Ron. They have to end up somewhere, even if that means independence. Let's take a look at an article here. TV sources on ACC potentially adding California Stanford does not make sense. This is from On3, Eric Pisbell. The ACC athletic directors and university presidents assess the benefits of adding California and Stanford. The most important question is clear. What's in it for the ACC? Sources familiar with the ACC's thinking confirmed to On3 that the league is engrossed in preliminary internal discussions about the value of adding the two Bay Area schools. ESPN's Pete Thamel first reported yesterday, that the ACC was planning a two-league wide calls to discuss the matter, one among the ADs, the other among the university presidents. The first meeting took place Tuesday morning, and the league is still evaluating the two schools, Thamel reported. So there was no decision made this morning, thus far. For the two biggest brands remaining in the Pac-12, a landing spot in the ACC is clearly their most attractive option. But for the ACC, a variety of college sports stakeholders, including some with deep ACC ties, told On3 that the additions of California and Stanford would be fraught with challenges. Chief among them, travel, logistics, and associated high costs abound for a conference whose westernmost school is Notre Dame in sports other than football, to add a Bay Area outpost. Secondly, there is no guarantee that providing a safe haven for California Stanford would allay concerns from the league's biggest brands, most notably Florida State, over the financial viability of the league and whether it can stay within a shouting distance of the SEC and the Big Ten. And perhaps most importantly, it is doubtful that the additions would grow the league's revenue pie enough, if at all, to warrant the expansion, TV sources said. Asked specifically how much the revenue pie would grow if the ACC added Cal and Stanford, a veteran TV source told On3 it wouldn't make any difference. Another TV source. Relatively few people watch Stanford and California football. So I don't know how that helps the ACC. other than prestige. Neil Pilson, the longtime former CBS Sports president, told On3 on Tuesday, I don't think either or both California Stanford adds sufficient value to the ACC TV package to induce the conference or ESPN to add them to the agreement. And the travel costs of the two schools for football, basketball, and multiple Olympic sports would be prohibitive. It makes more sense for the four remaining Pac-10 teams, including Oregon State and Washington State, to join the Mountain West, improve its value for TV, perhaps change the conference name back to the Pac-12 or 14. And then it goes on, ACC alternatives don't look great. We don't have to talk, we'll talk about that off the line here, off the article. So, let me give you our take on that here at Peek Around the Corner. We agree. Doesn't make any sense. Does not make any sense that California and Stanford will be joining the ACC. It doesn't make sense that a Florida State, a Clemson, a Miami of Florida, a North Carolina, a Virginia Tech would vote for this. They're not getting any more money. The grant of rights, I've seen a lot of people tweet out not so good information. If the ACC adds schools with expansion, the grant of rights does not open up. The schools that join the ACC would have to sign the grant of rights to become members of the ACC. It doesn't open up the TV contract. It makes no sense. I don't see it happening. This is what I do see happening. Hold on one second here. Hold on one second. Okay. Hold on one second. I apologize. This is a live show. Keep your head on a swivel. You see here, this is Andrew Michon. John Wilner's article that popped a few minutes before we came on live. In fact, it popped about 2 minutes before we came on live. John Wilner tweeted out, Stanford and Cal in the Big Ten made 0 sense until now when it makes the most sense if Fox will pay for it. The Bay Area schools seek a new home. Andrew Michon says, I do not believe Fox will pay for it. It's not happening. That's Peek Around the Corner's position. It's been our position, I don't know how many days, a week. And we're confirming that here today. It's just not going to happen. It sounds like Andrew Michon agrees with Peek Around the Corner. Whoops. We also don't agree. We don't believe the ACC situation is possible. It doesn't help. The schools, the big schools, Florida State, they're not going to vote for it. It doesn't help the pie. So why is the ACC going through the machinations? Why are they doing this? Why are they keep bringing up expansion? Here at Peek Around the Corner, we don't think they have any options. That's why I've never had a monologue. I've never done an episode for a year of this YouTube channel talking about ACC expansion. Because I've never believed it. We've never gotten wind of it. We've gotten no intel on it. We've got no steam on it. Only steam that says, no, they can't do it. There are no options. It wouldn't help. There is no schools that are available to the ACC that would elevate their contract, that would go in there and sign that grant of rights to 2036. West Virginia's not doing it. Nobody's doing it. That would actually elevate that contract. I don't think Florida State, I don't think North Carolina, I don't think Miami, Florida, I don't think Virginia Tech and Virginia are going to okay the ACC to expand with, let's say, an SMU or with the Tulane, for example. No offense to SMU or Tulane. I don't think the ACC is going down that road to expand with those two quality schools and programs, because it doesn't help their TV contract. It does not help Florida State. So, if it's not the ACC and it's not the Big Ten, what are the options for Stanford and California? I'm filling up my Cloak and Dagger mug. Get yours at the merchandise store. Before I get to that, if what I'm saying is true, accurate in any way, why is the ACC going through all this? Why is Jim Phillips going through all this? Why is he having two separate meetings with the athletic directors, with the presidents, getting all the information on California, Stanford? Can you hold on 1 second? Got to check a message. Hold on. So why are we doing this? I think Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, is scrambling. I think they're scrambling. I think maybe there's some cloaking going on. Maybe there's some trying to figure out who at this point is truly committed to the ACC, who's not, how they respond to these inquiries of possible California, Stanford, trying to get another gauge of ESPN, how responsive they are. I'm not sure. This is speculation. But what is not speculation is the Big Ten, the Big 12 have got their eyes on the ACC. And what happens in the next 8 days, 7 days with Florida State. And to see how it all, if anything happens, how it all shakes out. I think that's part of the reason of the Stanford and California coldness. It's part of the reasons why the Big 12 been reported now suddenly we're staying at 16 for now. It's all about the ACC. It's all about Act 1 and the Holy Smokes Theater. Don't know how it's going to go down. If anything's going to go down, although serious people believe something's going to go down here. Florida State's going to make some announcement that they're serious. They're not. This is not just bark. We'll get back to that if you want to get back to that. So the options. The options. Here's the AAC. Here are the current universities that make up the AAC who are having inquiries about California and Stanford joining their conference. The University of Alabama, Birmingham, East Carolina University. By the way, Alabama, Birmingham is a very underrated research university. University of Memphis, University of South Florida, a big-time research university. University of North Carolina at Charlotte, big growing population. University of North Texas, Rice University. You know how prestigious Rice University is. Southern Methodist University, Temple University, New member, you at University of Texas San Antonio, Tulane University, the prestigious Tulane University, and Tulsa, Wichita State in basketball. When you mention AAC as a potential Stanford and California destination, at first blush you think, nah, that could never happen. But you take a look at some of those schools, potentially could happen. Here's the chalk. Mountain West Conference. You got Air Force, Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Nevada, UNLV, University of Mexico, San Diego State, of course. We all know that. San Jose State, Utah State, University of Wyoming. I do believe we've been told that the AAC has reached out, talking with Stanford and California. I do believe here at Peek Around the Corner, we're going to take our best shot at this. Tuesday, August 8th, middle of the afternoon. We do believe Oregon State, Washington State, California, and Stanford will become members of the Mountain West Conference. I think the biggest threat to that happening, if it's Stanford takes it alone and goes independent, decides to go independent for a year or two to wait to see how things shake out with Notre Dame, the Big Ten. But I think our best shot at this is Stanford and California ends up with the Mountain West. They might want to rename it. They can rename it to the PAC-16 if they want. Maybe they do something like that. But I don't think they're going to be an autonomous school. I think it's going to be only 4 conferences that are going to be Power 4 conference, Autonomy 4, however you want to call it. But I do think that Stanford and California are going to be in the same conference with those Mountain West schools. The biggest threat being Stanford takes it independence for a year or two to see how things shake out. That's our best shot here at Peek Around the Corner. Most people believe ACC. Most people believe Big Ten or ACC. We don't think it's going to be either one of those for the reasons we've gone through. Mountain West is your best shot. AAC is sitting there, or independent for Stanford. That's how we look at it. Now, California and Stanford to the Mountain West doesn't seem possible. But if you look at the options, there isn't many options out there besides independence, which they could do, especially Stanford. So put down your comments and thoughts. Give us a phone call. Let us know. And I got one more thing to say before we get on with it here with your comments and phone calls. Let me see if I can get this up. The quarterback rankings, 247 Sports, quarterback rankings. Drake May, number 1, North Carolina. I got no problem with that. Incredible quarterback. He's going to be drafted number 1 or 2 in the in 2024 NFL spring draft. Okay? Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner, going for back-to-back. The first guy to do it since Archie Griffin. He's got a shot. He's number 2 on the list. Got no problem with that. If you want to do-si-do those two, that's fine. Number 3, Sam Hartman. You guys know how much I love Sam Hartman. Brilliant quarterback, number 3. Quinn Ewers, number 4. I think that's a little bit too high. They've got Michael Penix, number 5. I'd have Penix over Quinn Ewers. Penix has proven more than Ewers, so I would have Penix number 4. Bo Nix, number 6. Jaden Daniels, LSU. You know how much I love him. Number 7. J.J. McCarthy, Michigan, number 8. Will Howard, Kansas State, number 9. He was absolutely brilliant at the end of last season. Will Howard, Kansas State's quarterback, was magnificent. Number 9, yeah, he deserves top 10. He deserves top 10. Cameron Rising, number 10. Devin Leary, 11. Riley Leonard, number 19 of Duke. But let me get to what I'm all upset on this. Tony, listen to this. Number 67 out of 69, Ethan Kaliak-Manis, Minnesota Golden Gopher quarterback. That has got me all wound up. I'm ready for the football season to start right now, tonight. August 31st, Minnesota, Nebraska, Huntington Bank Stadium on Fox. After you watch that game, Ethan Kaliak-Manis at number 67 out of 69. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Number 52 on this list. Number 52 on this list is Sam Jackson, the California Bears starting quarterback. Sam Jackson. This is his 5th. California is like his 5th school he's either been to or is committed to. He hasn't thrown a pass. Yeah, he's a great athlete. He committed twice to Minnesota. He committed once to Purdue. He ended up at TCU and left TCU. He's number 52. What, Ethan Kaliak-Manis, the Greek rifle, threw over 300 yards against Wisconsin in Wisconsin, was absolutely brilliant. Are you kidding me? The other names on this list, ahead of my guy, by the way, they have Garrett Green, 69 out of 69. The quarterback for West Virginia. He's got some legs. He's got a powerful arm. There's a lot of guys on that list. Okay, I'm done. Ethan Kaliak-Manis was a 4-star. He was... Watch the Wisconsin game. And then watch him against Nebraska on August 31st. Okay, let's get to your comments. I know you don't want to talk Golden Gopher football, but I am so fired up. This is August 8th. August 31st is just right around the corner at Peek Around the Corner. We'll talk. We'll talk on that Friday, September 1st, about what happened with Ethan Kaliak-Manis in that game against Nebraska. Okay. Stanford will go independent before they ever go to the Mountain West Conference. You could be right, Sean. You could be right. Difficult to swing a media deal. Difficult to get exposure. Mountain West Conference at least has a media deal in place. But I get it. I understand why you're thinking that. I get it. California, Stanford needs to live in the real world. We are almost there. Yeah, we're almost there. Hell, the Greek rifle? Absolutely, Tony. Absolutely. Samuel Jackson? No, Sam Jackson. He came out of Illinois. Most colleges wanted Sam Jackson as a wide receiver. He's a great athlete, but he hasn't played at all. How can they have him 52? I am hot. People, come on now. Hit that like button for me. Caleb Williams, Daniel Montcastle, plays better when he's injured than most quarterbacks do when they're healthy. I'm a big fan. I too. It's almost exciting that USC had a horrible defense last year, and they probably won't have a very good defense this year. We shall see. Because Caleb Williams had to score. He was hurt in the bowl game, hurt at the end of the Pac-12 championship game. He was still playing at the elite level. I love Caleb Williams. I love Drake May. I love both those cats. Unfortunately, my Gophers have to play North Carolina in the offseason. Michael Penix is legit. Overly rated Caleb Williams. Woo! Grateful Trojan. Drake May over Caleb. Stop. This list is not serious. You could go either way with that. Come on, Grateful Trojan. Come on now. Come on. But I understand. Heisman Trophy winner should be number 1. Conundrum, Cade McNamara, number 3. I don't think so. Becoming independent is harder to do. Look, Stanford. They got to become independent, or the Mountain West, or the AAC, or the ACC, or the Big Ten, if you believe that. They've got to go somewhere. They have to go somewhere, or they're not going to just shut everything down. So with your comments, with your phone calls, let me know where you think they're all ending up. San Diego State, according to Dodd, according to BC here, San Diego State fails in an attempt to create a new Power 5 conference with the Pac-12, Mountain West, ACC members. San Diego State's effort to rally a group of major programs into a new league fell short. Let me see if I can post that baby up there. Thank you, Kenneth Maynor, Stanford and Cal. Could do a football only in the AAC like Navy does, and put the rest of the sports in the West Coast Conference with Gonzaga. AAC has a better TV deal with ESPN and reach on the East Coast and Texas. This is a great comment. Kenneth Maynor, appreciate it. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate your generosity to the channel. This is an outstanding comment. Yeah. Kenneth nails it. It could be the AAC. Football only. Put your Olympic sports with the West Coast Conference. Absolutely. Now here at Peek Around the Corner, we got the AAC as the number 3 choice for Stanford. But behind Independence and Mountain West, but it's plausible. Definitely. AAC is a live shot. It could happen. Stanford and California. They got some universities in that conference that Stanford and California would easily associate with. Great comment. Fantastic comment. Let me get to, hold on, everybody. Hold on. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, this just popped. About 25 minutes ago. Thanks for the chat for letting us know. San Diego State fails an attempt to create a new Power 5 conference with Pac-12, Mountain West, AAC members. San Diego State's effort to rally a group of major programs into a new league fell short before it gained any momentum. So it didn't get any momentum. An initiative led by San Diego State to essentially create a new conference that would have sought Power 5 designation in the aftermath. Oh, that wasn't going to happen. Woo! Wow. They were trying to create a conference that would have sought Power 5 designation in the aftermath of a radical conference realignment. Sources tell CBS Sports. San Diego State's president, Adela de la Torre, was leading a push to assemble what would have amounted to a breakaway of the best schools from the Mountain West and American conferences along with some combination of Pac-12 leftovers, California, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State. So what they were trying to do is trying to grab the best schools of the Mountain West out of the AAC with the Pac-12. Wow. Well, that wasn't going to work. And even if it did work, it wasn't going to give you a Power 5 designation. And now, San Diego State's president, Adela Torra, has just pissed off, again, some of the Mountain West schools in their own conference. However, the idea died after Monday night after Mountain West presidents held a call that ended with the leadership showing unity. Everything that is out there is from San Diego State. Oh, God. A Mountain West source said Monday of the breakaway attempt. They've been wanting to be in the part of the Pac-12 forever. They have a hope and a dream that they can take the best of us, the best from some other leagues, reform and keep, honestly, the college football playoff designation, reap the $10 millions in distributions, and resurrect the autonomous 5 in the West. Okay. The development cleared the way for Oregon State and Washington State to join the Mountain West Conference, industry sources told CBS Sports. The AAC has expressed an interest in the schools as well. It goes on to some other stuff. Come on, man. What's going on? Honestly, what is going on? What's going on with San Diego State? Look, this is not about Aztec fans. I love you. San Diego State, beautiful place. Great university. The last 20 years, San Diego State skyrocketed. They've done everything right. Snapdragon Stadium, they've done everything right. San Diego State men's basketball team goes to the NCAA championship game. They've done everything right until, holy smokes, they send that June 13th letter out to the Mountain West Commissioner and the president. It's made no sense. We said it at the time. There was no strategic advantage to that. And now they try cloak and dagger style. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. And even if they successfully were able to go to the Mountain West and secure the top Mountain West schools and secure the top AAC schools and then grab Washington, Oregon State, California, Stanford, how would they know that they would get Power 5 designation? How would they know that? They don't know that. That's why this thing didn't gain any momentum. But now San Diego State, what have they done? Some of those Mountain West schools, the Mountain West should be united. Now they don't. Look, how is the Mountain West going to get California and Stanford into the conference when some of the schools, San Diego State, is trying to backstab some of the Mountain West schools? I don't know. I'm not sure how Stanford and California would think. This is bizarre. This is bizarre. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure De La Torre, the president of San Diego State, actually knows. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I blew it. It would have been okay, it would have been not as crazy if it was San Diego State trying to coordinate this cloak and dagger behind the scenes to better themselves, to grab some AAC schools, Mountain West schools, whatever. But to expect Power 5 designation, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that. The Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. That's gone. So you do the best you can. Mountain West, I don't know if this has hurt their positioning. Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, this report is now out the door. Everybody in the Mountain West school who wasn't maybe in on this now knows about it. And now De La Torre has to go back to the Mountain West presidential meetings. She's finally got accepted back in. And now people are learning that she was trying to backstab some of the Mountain West schools who acquiesced and let San Diego State back in with just a little bit of a $100,000 penalty for the stunt they tried to pull a couple months ago, June 13th. This is something else. I don't know. San Diego State, again, very good university, great basketball program. Dutcher leads that program. Probably the most valuable Mountain West school in the conference. But man, they are hurting their brand big time with these actions from the university president. Let's get to your phone calls. Talk about San Diego State, Stanford, California, top 69 list, quarterback 247. Talk about it, whatever you want. I'm blown away by this breaking news of San Diego State. Cloak and dagger style, the phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. San Diego State got real close to becoming a Power 5. There was a perfect storm brewing. They almost were able to climb over the wall. But this is not how you climb over the wall. This was never going to work. Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. Phone lines are open. Wow. San Diego State is a great school. Their leadership, not so much.
Call from
Greg.
I didn't get the name. Who's calling?
This is Greg.
Greg. All right, Greg, what do you got? Floor is yours.
Well, I hope to not derail this, but this great show you got going. But I got some questions I think you can help me with because I think I see a way out for Florida State, and I'm not hearing anybody talk about it.
Okay.
I'm just a simple fan. I'm not a lawyer, but I hear everybody, and I've heard you talk about the grant of rights.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that I'm not understanding. So if you can help us casual fans understand, if Oklahoma and Texas are under the same grant of rights that supposedly the ACC copied,
yeah,
and they were able to buy their way out because once you pay an exit fee, that's basically the negotiation. My other question is, the ACC under precedent, which in law matters, having precedent, let Maryland out, and with the penalty. So it seems like to me Florida State would be able to pay to get out and be released from that, and if not, it sounds like they would have legal standing in the court for damages because the ACC would not have treated them like they did a previous member, allowing them to pay money and leave and exit the grant of rights. So I'm sure there's plenty of holes in this, but if you can help me understand that,
sure.
Love everything you do. Love your show. Keep up the great work, Godfather.
Appreciate it. I appreciate your call. Look, Maryland wasn't under, they were not under the grant of rights. The ACC did not have a grant of rights at that time. They put it in soon afterwards. What Maryland did is they had an exit fee. And I have the exact numbers. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you, Greg. Hold on. I got so many notes. Here we go. I actually found it, which is a shocker. Maryland, when they decided and when they announced they were going to leave the Big Ten, the ACC had Maryland owing $52.2 million, and they negotiated that down to $31.3 million. So officially, Maryland had to pay $31.3 million, and then they got some loan from the Big Ten. Okay, so Oklahoma and Texas, they only had a year left on the grant of rights to make the deal. Okay, so the grant of rights of the Big 12 was almost over when they negotiated a deal with the Big 12 to get out early. And they had to pay. They had to pay big time. So this is a different situation. Florida State has an exit fee and the grant of rights. They have about $120 million in exit fee that they would have to pay, or $90 million. Now people are whatever. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but somewhere between 90 and 120 million Florida State would have to pay to get out of the exit fee. And they can do that easily. But it's the grant of rights. It's the fact that, okay, Florida State can leave after paying the exit fee, but they do not own their own media rights. In other words, the ACC does. So Florida State, if they sign the $120 million check and they join the Big Ten or whatever conference, all their home games would still be shown by ESPN, because ESPN has the distribution, the broadcast rights of ACC content. And ACC owns the media rights of Florida State. All that money that ESPN pays to the ACC for showing Florida State home games, that money goes to the ACC. And then that gets distributed per the ACC bylaws. And so as the ACC is doling out media money to all the ACC schools, Florida State is considered a withdrawn member and they don't get any money. That's the problem. So people believe, and I believe people in Florida State believe, if they give the ACC a big old check that accounts for all of these years left on the grant of rights, which is $13 million, and each year it's $30 million approximately that gets distributed to Florida State. If they sign over a check like $500 million, the theory is that the ACC would have to accept it, or if they don't accept that check, then Florida State might have an angle within the court saying, look, we're trying to get out of this. We've given them a fair value to the grant of rights. They're not accepting it. Our program's getting buried, yada, yada, yada. Does that explain anything?
It does. I appreciate you for breaking that down for a simple guy like myself, because I just had that disconnect. I guess I was having a little San Diego State moment, I guess.
No. Okay.
Hey, keep up
no
the great
problem.
work.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Great call. Great call. Thank you.
Call from
Crab cakes and football.
Crab cakes and football, Mr. Terrapin. I wonder what number your quarterback was listed in the top 69. I know it wasn't 67 because our quarterback was 67. Ridiculous.
Somehow we're the second best quarterback in the Big Ten, but he has the most experience. So I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Well, he's good. Even though I cannot pronounce his name, he is very, very good.
Talia Tungavaloa.
Yeah, but it's better you say it than I.
Hey, Greg, I just got a question, a scenario for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's just say Clemson, Florida State, Miami. Let's just say they get out of grand rights, they leave. Whatever conference is not irrelevant here. And now you got a highly academic conference, and now you're adding in Cal and Stanford. So now you got, Duke, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Boston College, on and on, Wake Forest, on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think that would be right for Notre Dame to join at that point? Because Stanford would be in there, and you'd have Notre Dame, and they would have all these elite, because they love to play the elite top, schools like the USCs and the Stanfords and everything else. I think that if with just the eliteness of that academic conference, it gives them an easier path because they don't like competition that much, and maybe it might be in the future, like 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, whenever. But do you think that's a possible path?
No, I don't. I don't because First of all, Notre Dame, they already are in the ACC for all sports except for football and men's hockey. Okay, they already get some revenue for the ACC network, in which they are tied to a grant of rights. They were one of the 15 schools that signed the grant of rights, but their grant of rights is only tied to the ACC network, not to the Tier 1, Tier 2 money. Notre Dame, now they're going to be going in negotiations with NBC, right? They're looking at $65, $60, $75, $70 million for their content in regards to football. Okay?
Okay.
ACC, ESPN, each of those ACC schools make about $19 million for the Tier 1, Tier 2 money. And that's it. That's all they make. And they're tied to that to 2036. That's why Florida State is so desperate. ACC schools, when they get their distribution for each school, conference payout, is somewhere, and now correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat, but it's somewhere consistently right now in the low to middle 30 million. Okay, 35 million, 34 million, 33 million, 32 million, somewhere around that, okay? Only 17, 19 million dollars of that is in your Tier 1 payouts. It is unbelievably low number. ESPN loves this deal. And Florida State and the big guys hate the deal. There's no way that Notre Dame is going to sign on to that type of contract. If they join the ACC, yes, all those schools would be elevated. No, they wouldn't make that low amount. They would each make more. But then Notre Dame would have to sign on to 2036. Notre Dame's not going to sign. If you join the ACC, you got to join that grant of rights to 2036. You can't.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I got one more separate thing for you. I need everybody to go out and buy the biggest high-definition television you can get, because when Oregon and Maryland play Under Armour versus Nike, you're talking about uniforms. Phil Knight, and then you got Kevin Plank. Both of them are graduates of each school. I think they're going to make that the uniform game. I think that's, instead of a trophy, just go for the uniforms. I think that's going to be probably the coolest thing of it. So, all right, I've been waiting to tell you that. Thank you for answering my question. It makes sense, because this grant of right thing is I don't understand all that stuff.
Got it. Beautiful.
All right.
Thanks for your call.
Appreciate your channel, man. Have a good one.
What I like about it is
Call from
Michael, can you hold on 1 second?
Yes.
I just want to finish my thought. First of all, look at the little general came in the studio 2 calls ago, gave me a, if you can see that, I don't know if you can see that. That's a tostada. You see all that? Isn't that beautiful? It tastes better than it looks. If you ever asking why the fat guy from Minnesota is the fat guy from Minnesota, it's right there. But let me finish with this. When it comes to uniforms, I'm just happy that Oregon and Washington, they don't bring any red. None of the uniform is red. We have enough red in the conference. We don't need. We got maroon. We got all types of red. Oregon, Washington, no red. Thank you so very much. Okay, the floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
I have a far-fetched what-if case scenario for you. For the ACC, they're trying to, of course, break up the conference and all that stuff. And as far as I can tell, for my best guess, the only way that Stanford and California can get into the Big Ten is when the ACC breaks up, then they'll have their chance to hop on with somebody else and join that way. So what if Cal and Stanford joins the ACC, signs the grant of rights, and then the Magnificent Seven, who wants to break it up, becomes the 99 and have enough numbers to break it up?
Well, under that theory, adding members to the conference would make it more difficult for the dissolution theory to happen, correct? Now, I'm not good at math. Number one, I'm not very smart. Number two, I'm from Minnesota. Minnesota math, we're not good at math here in this state. I don't believe, now you need 50, according to the dissolution theory, the dissolution, if it's not stated in the bylaws of the ACC, it's not stated in the bylaws of the ACC how to dissolve the conference. According to this dissolution theory, it goes to the state of North Carolina. And in North Carolina, when it comes to so-called nonprofit organization, to dissolve the organization, you need more than 50% of the vote. So if you've got 15 members, which you do, according to what I've read, Notre Dame would get a full vote. With 15 members, you need only 8 votes to dissolve. With 17 members, you would need 9 votes to dissolve. So it's actually easier to dissolve the conference before California, Stanford would come in accordance to your theory.
Okay. I just thought California and Stanford would make that 7 that wants to dissolve 9, and that would have the number for to happen.
Well, if you have 9 people willing to dissolve the conference, you have 8 people willing to dissolve the conference. I don't think California Stanford addition helps to dissolve the conference, unless I'm missing something.
Okay. I do appreciate your show.
Okay, thank you so much for the call. Please call again. Somebody in the chat, let me know. Somebody in the chat, let me know how wrong I got it.
Call from.
Yes, sir.
To accept, press 1.
I didn't get the name. Go ahead. Oh, we got a hang up.
Call from.
ABO Prep.
Soap is on the line. The floor is yours, Soap. What's going on?
Good afternoon, Greg. Great
Good afternoon.
Here's the show today. Hey, Notre Dame is the key to Stanford. I believe that Notre Dame and Stanford will go in together into the Big Ten. So when Notre Dame can get out of their situation in the ACC, their non-football alliance with the ACC would prevent them from becoming a full-fledged member for all of their sports at this particular time. So that kind of rolls into Florida State. And Florida State is going to do one of two things. Either they're staying or they're going. If they're going, they're either A, going by themselves, or B, they're going to come up with some method for allowing everyone else to get out. Thus, I'm looking at the Magnificent Seven. Why would they have seven? And why didn't they include in that group Louisville when right after they announced the Magnificent Seven, Louisville comes out and says, well, we're in also. That makes eight. They didn't recognize them at all. And what I think we're looking at, Greg, is a formation of, let's just call it the Atlantic Coast Co-op. And what we would be looking at is those 7 teams that lead the ACC would agree for a set period of time to join all of their funds together in a separate league. This is how they get out of the grant of rights. They're forming their own league. There's nothing that can prevent them from forming their own league. They start their own league. They, some of them go to the Big 12, some of them go to the Big Ten, some go to the SEC, but all of their money comes back to their individual league and is divided evenly among their members for, say, up until 2030 or till a new deal is done. That way, the people who are leaving the conference get a benefit of the whole group. So I think that's what we're looking at. I don't think there's any home for Cal. Cal has, with their arrogance and disinterest towards football, has alienated a lot of people, and I don't know who wants them to be part of their group.
Well, I think I think it's alienated the networks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think the networks are giving the valuation to the conferences that are needed to add on to California.
Once again, I think Stanford is going to be part of the Big Ten, but they're going to go in with Notre Dame. And it's just a matter of, it's kind of like when you were looking at Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten. We knew it was going to happen sooner or later, either 5 months or 5 years. Well, I think that's kind of the way it is with Notre Dame. And sooner or later, they're going to be part of the Big Ten. As soon as they can make more money in the Big Ten than they can on their own, they will be members of the Big Ten. Or possibly, when you get to a scheduling situation where there are 10 league games per season, they're not going to be able to schedule anybody. So that will force them into the Big Ten. But at some point in time, they'll be part of the Big Ten, and they'll go in with Stanford. Stanford will be their partner there. But that's it for me. I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk, Greg.
You got it, buddy. Thanks so
much. I want a bite of that tostada, man. That looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm going to go find some Tex-Mex here. Just to get it,
okay. All right.
Get mine on. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for calling.
Call from
Eric, Kahuna Cougar.
Eric,
to accept,
thanks for
press
calling.
1.
The
To send
floor
a
is
voicemail,
yours.
Press 2.
I'm sorry. You there? I lost it. Floor, the numbers, phone line's open. Eric, try again. 763-260-1333. Don't forget your super chats, Godfather. Oh, I did not see them. Thank you, sir. I don't see any on the board here.
Call from
Eric.
Eric, the floor is yours.
to accept, press 1.
What's going on?
Hey, this is Eric.
Yes, sir. What do you got to
How's
say?
it going, buddy?
Going good.
Hey, I missed the last couple of shows. I was out of state with family business, but man, I was going through withdrawals, buddy.
All righty.
Hey, there's nothing better than this show. Not only we got singing now to go with the football, we got food, man. How can you beat that?
Yeah.
Hey, if things don't work out, which they will, because the show's great, man, you can always open the Holy Smokes Cafe, because that food looks delicious.
Yeah, we're going to do something. The Little General's going to do something for the college football season in regards to recipes and stuff like that. So keep your head on a swivel. More stuff coming on that.
That's going to be awesome, because being Latin myself, I love being Latino. I love Latin food, man.
Yeah.
And those I got caught up. I watched your last two shows and I saw those quesadillas she made. I was like getting ready to run for the fridge. I have a few comments. I'm going to call a shot and then ask you some questions. My first shot is I'm saying, in my opinion, Cal and Stanford will never be in the Big Ten. Never. And I'll tell you why I think that. First of all, Stanford is not going to share their research. And the Big Ten is not going to accept anybody that doesn't cooperate and share their research. And their research money is worth 10 times what they might get from a football TV contract. So that's why Stanford's not going to get in. Plus, they don't want a fan base that's not engaged, doesn't care about football, and even though you can be in a big market and not command your market, not produce the numbers that you're in. Neither them or Cal do that, and Cal's not getting in without Stanford on their own. And when the ACC does break up, the Big Ten's going to have better fish to fry, bigger and better schools to pick from. I just don't think they're ever getting in the Big Ten. That's my opinion. The problem with Stanford going, I think that they would consider going independent. But a little problem that they don't realize about about Cal, Stanford can do it, but Cal would not be able to put their teams if they wanted to go independent. And I don't think Cal will be. The WCC only accepts private schools, which Stanford is private. They've never accepted a public school, and generally they only accept religious schools. All the schools are religious schools, except for maybe Pacific, and I think they may even be a religious school. And you know how secular Stanford and Cal is. They're not real fond of religious schools, so that might be a little bit of an issue with that. The thing, Greg, that I still can't wrap my head around, and I think his name's Lawyer Dave that called in, the other day.
Attorney Dave?
Yes, Attorney Dave. He mentioned the same concern I had with you. I don't think Florida State's bluffing, but you have a conference, Big Ten, who was so scared of going first so long on taking, they kept saying they didn't want to take Oregon and Washington because A, they didn't want to be seen as killing the conference, and B, they were very, very scared of being sued. Well, if they think the possibility of being sued was big, with that, it's almost a guarantee if they try to accept a team that's still under grant of rights and trying to negotiate the grant of rights. And even your attorney friend said it was going to be probably a year and a half, 2 years or something like that before this thing gets fully resolved. And I don't see the Big Ten touching them until it is resolved. I guess they could go independent or something like that. I think they're serious, but I just don't know if the Big Ten would. They're so gun shy. I don't know if they would be willing to accept them until that gets resolved. What do you think about that, Greg?
There are two separate stories when it comes to Florida State. One is, will they withdraw from the conference by August 15th of this year? The other part of the story is, how do they approach leaving the conference, and is it successful? Nobody expects, nobody, not even Florida State themselves, expects them to be clear of the ACC by August 15th. So that is a story after the withdrawal notice. So the first, what we're all looking at, what we're all watching, does Florida State officially withdraw from the ACC by August 15th? Full stop. That's the story. And then we'll figure out, hopefully, how they're going about trying to successfully entangle themselves from the grant of rights through a settlement, through a court case. That's the next story. But the first story is, does Florida State, yes or no, withdraw from the conference by August 15th? And let me say one more thing. There are people out there, and I respectfully disagree with them. There are people out there who believe that Florida State might. They've talked about it. I've seen people talk about it. YouTube channels. I've seen it written where Florida State might withdraw from the conference, but we're not going to know about it. We're not going to hear about it. It's going to be under cloak. It's going to be where Florida State's going to continue to talk with ESPN and the ACC. They're going to officially withdraw, send the notice, but we're not going to know anything. So if you don't hear anything, according to this theory, if you don't hear anything by August 15th, it still might have happened. I don't believe that at all. I believe if it happens, we're going to know about it. There's no way that this is going to be held under cloak, under darkness, because Florida State has to send out notices to 14 other ACC presidents and the commissioner for them to officially withdraw from the conference by August 15th. And then you got the networks and how they leak. There's no way. So we're going to know, yes or no, tick-tock, as we head toward August 15th. We are going to know either way. Did Florida State pull the trigger on withdrawal or did they not? And for all the other parts of the story, we're going to have to wait until this first part actually happens.
That makes sense. And with the San Diego State thing, they're all I can say is their athletic department, their president, it's a clown show. I'll take you back to the old Mountain West Conference. When it was formed with BYU, TCU, and Utah, and you can make an argument that they were probably the three most successful P5. They didn't call it P5 then, they called it BCS, but we'll just go with P5. The three most successful non-P5 programs of all time. One that had won a national championship, had all kinds of Heisman trophies and All-American, all kinds of accolades in BYU. You had Utah, who had gone to BCS bowls, beat Alabama. You had TCU, who is extremely successful with Gary Patterson. Part of their idea was as if they broke away from these lesser teams and they formed this Mountain West Conference. One of the reasons they did it is they thought, we'll be designated as one of the BCS conferences, which is kind of like being a P5 conference. Never happened. Didn't even come close to happening, and it was had better teams in it than what they're forming now. They're not going to give up a new P5 designation to anybody, especially a conference that looks like that. That was total, that was total, pie in the sky. I don't even know what they were thinking. And like you said, now they just made the rest of the Mountain West, really angry again. But the final thing I want to say, Greg, is like you, man, oh man, I'm excited for college football. As a BYU fan, our first year in the Big 12. And I'm even more excited now because we started out as the only team in the West. And now we got 5 teams in the West the next year. Yep. All teams and they're all teams that, except for Colorado, that we have long-standing rivals with, that we've played for years, that we have, long history with. I just can't wait for football to get going. I'm excited. This might surprise you. One of the first games I'm excited for is the West Virginia-Penn State game, because I think Penn State's going to win that game, Greg, but I think West Virginia will cover, and it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I still think Penn State's going to be a top 10 team and one of the main challengers, but Lavelle Edwards used to say college teams improve the most between the first and the third week, and a lot of crazy stuff goes on in that first game when you're getting back to playing again. Okay. So I think that with West Virginia and Penn State is going to be really, really close, and it's going to be a great game, but I just cannot wait for college football again. The reason we care about realignment is because we care about college football.
Yeah.
The actual team. And we want to see the game. It's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I want to see that kickoff. And Greg, keep singing, keep eating, baby, and tell the little general all the love and all the respect. And as I always say, no personal attacks, Greg. Just love one another. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Kenneth Maynor, ESPN, will make sure the SEC gets the top brands in the southern half of the ACC, including FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia. The Big Ten will get leftovers. A lot of people agree with you, Kenneth Maynard, and I do as well. If the ACC implodes.
Call from
TH3 Husker Power.
Husker Power, can you hold on 1 second, sir?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Kenneth Maynard, if the ACC implodes well before 2036, I agree with Kenneth Maynard. The chances of this happening, this scenario, I think it's the chalk. I think it's the favorite. ESPN will make sure that SEC eats first. If ESPN is playing some sort of invisible hand in the implosion, if they see it happening, if they can't stop it, if Florida State is successful, at least the Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia part of this, it rings true. Now, if it goes on to 2036, if the conference implodes a little bit before 2036 via sort of like Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12, then I don't necessarily agree with SEC eating first. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard, once again for your super chat. I appreciate your continued generosity to this channel. The caller, the floor is yours, sir.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, to piggyback off that ESPN comment, I'm interested to see tomorrow Disney's earning reports. That's going to tell us a lot about ESPN, most likely going forward, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that heads up.
Let's just say Disney has not been doing great financially lately, and I'm not going to get into, semantics of that. I don't really care to. But there's been rumors that they're trying to make ESPN more a direct-to-consumer product, and they're looking to get a partner. It's been off and on rumors. I can't give you an exact source. I just heard they're trying to get a different brand, sort of to prop up ESPN alongside Disney. The two names that I've heard out there, and I can't confirm sources or whatnot.
Yep.
The two names I had heard were Apple and Universal NBC.
NBC Universal?
Yes.
And who was the other one?
Apple.
Apple. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And Apple's been the consensus favorite just because they're trying to get in the sports market. Tim Cook and Bob Iger, the two CEOs of Disney and Apple, are on close speaking terms. They're very personal with each other. It would not surprise me if they went in on that. And maybe the Pac-12 deal that Apple offered was just kind of a half sweetheart deal, like, we feel bad, here's some money. When in reality, I feel like they might be trying to make a move at ESPN here pretty soon. So it's going to be interesting to see going forward how ESPN honors these TV contracts. Just because financially, we can say they got all the TV deals, but financially speaking, they haven't been doing the best. You've heard about their layoffs. How many people have they laid off in the past few years? Because
a lot.
I think it's at least 1,000.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. And realistically, if they want to get ahead of Fox Sports, getting a TV partner alongside ESPN, I feel like that would be very beneficial for them in the long run. Now, the main reason I wanted to call in, I'll keep this brief. There's been a lot of losers, I'd say, of conference realignment. I feel bad for the Oregon States, the Washington States. They don't have a home for certain at this point. But can we say that San Diego State's the biggest loser of conference realignment now? Can we say that definitively?
In this wave, yes. I don't believe all time though.
Yeah, that's fair.
I believe UConn. I believe UConn has been Charlie Brown and Lucy type of situation for a couple decades. Yeah. But in this wave, yes, San Diego State.
Because that article you pulled up, what are they doing?
Well, I got some breaking news here.
Okay.
Thanks to Immaculate in the chat who sent me a DM, and so did somebody else. John David Wicker, San Diego State athletic director, says fake news. Disappointed in the number of absolute fake articles that get written these days. # integrity in journalism. John David Wicker is pushing back against Dennis Dodd's reporting of what San Diego State failed to attempt to create a new Power 5 conference. John David Wicker, as far as I know, has not isolated the part of the article that Dennis Dodd got incorrect or that was fake. Maybe John David Wicker says the whole article is fake. He does not provide any clarity to that. The last time that someone pushed back on Dennis Dodd saying that his article was fake, it turned out to be true about ESPN not going to be a part of the Pac-12's new media deal. So we'll see. John David Wicker, athletic director of San Diego State, is pushing back on the Dennis Dodd article.
I don't, and I know this sounds bad, and I shouldn't put my faith in one thing, but based off of what I've seen San Diego State do lately, I have a really hard time believing his statement personally. Which, I mean, I know it's all semantics and whatnot. I hope it is fake for their sake, because if that's fake, they can kind of brush it off pretty easily. But if not, it's a bad move, because you're essentially alienating yourself even further. I get that they have state in the name. I get they have a Native American tribe as their mascot, but you are not Florida State. San Diego State is not Florida State. Florida State has leverage. They do not. Are they a big brand? Yeah. They got a pretty good basketball program, Unfortunately, they beat Creighton, which I also like. But minus that, I can only really see them go to the Big 12. And if they keep making a ruckus, they're going to alienate themselves. They're going to leave themselves out on an island. And at this point, if I'm Brett Yormark, is it worth adding them? Because they've been extremely vocal.
Well,
not a good one.
According to latest reports from Brett McMurphy, the Big 12 is done for now. They're at 16. And we believe at Peek Around the Corner, all eyes are pointed towards the ACC schools to see if the conference implodes here in the next couple of years.
Okay.
So, all righty.
Alrighty, yep, that's all I wanted to call in and say. Thank you for the show, Greg, and have a good one.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Great call. Call again. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. I'm trying to catch up with the chat. I'm trying to catch up with all the DMs that are being sent my way. Dennis Dodd, never wrong. Everybody's wrong from time to time. Sources give you bad information. Things move right when you release some information. But yeah, there's a reason why Dennis Dodd put out that article. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Maybe, and of course, maybe J.D. Wicker doesn't know everything that the president of San Diego State was attempting to try to do. I doubt it. Because you would think the president of San Diego State would have the athletic director be the lead person on whatever they're trying to do. So maybe it's a case where Dennis Dodd got most of the article right. Maybe got a little bit of it wrong. But we'll see. We'll see. John Wicker did not explain any of it. He didn't be specific on what Dennis Dodd got wrong on the article. But we'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure Dennis Dodd will say something back. Black Rain, Sparty is in the house. My brother from another mother. Anyway, the ACC has to worry about being rayed out of existence. All eyes on the ACC. We're 7 days away. 7 days away. Florida State has 7 days left to file notice of withdrawal if they truly want to play in a different conference or be an independent starting July 1st, 2024?
Call from
Lonnie.
Go ahead. The floor is yours. I did not get the name.
Lonnie.
Lonnie. Oh, Lonnie. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. So here's what I think needs to happen. I think you're going to see Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State go to the the Mountain West Conference. In Stanford, if I'm Stanford, I am on the phone right now with Notre Dame, knowing that Notre Dame is an independent, is already trying to rework their deal.
Yeah.
And try to get Notre Dame to take them as a partner. And even if you don't get, 50, 60 million a year, you can get better than 22.5 million. And because Notre Dame is not going to go to a conference. They're just not. And Florida State, it's just the whole ACC, Cal, Stanford thing's ridiculous. It's not feasible for the ACC. It's not feasible for Cal and Stanford. It's just not. No matter how you do it, it just doesn't work. And then the Stanford gets a hold of Notre Dame, say, hey, we want to go independent. Can we piggyback off you, maybe get this? And because if you think about it, Notre Dame, they're reworking their deal. And if you're the Big Ten or the ACC, and being Notre Dame, that if you go to one of those two, their value goes up, then why wouldn't you, when you're already reworking your deal, say, hey, if we go here, their value goes up, so we want more by ourselves as an independent because we know we're that valuable, and we know how highly Notre Dame thinks of themselves. So they could give a little bit more to Stanford to come piggyback off them just to get them by for a couple of years. So I think that's what should happen.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen. I'll tell you why. There's reports out there from yesterday that the Pac-12 went to NBC 3 different times, and NBC said no 3 different times. NBC is not interested. They're already on. Now they're gonna, Oregon, Washington were added, so NBC is gonna have Oregon, Washington games once in a while. Of course, along with USC, UCLA. I don't think NBC has any incentive, any interest to putting on Stanford as an independent property, bundling the content with Notre Dame. I just don't see it happening. I don't see NBC having any interest.
No, and I understand that. Like, they had no interest in the Pac-12. But we also know how much clout Notre Dame carries to NBC as an independent. And if Notre Dame, after talking to Stanford and agreed with them, went to NBC while we worked in their deal currently and said, hey, here's the deal. We're not talking the Pac-12. We're just talking one school. There could be a shot. And you know what? It's a shot. And if it doesn't work, then Stanford has a plan B. Okay, you know what? We're going to do what we need to do. We'll go with Oregon State, Washington State, and Cal. We'll join the Mountain West. We'll just do it. We'll do it for 2 years. But the idea of Cal and Stanford going to the ACC is a joke.
I agree. Yeah.
But they got to have, at this point, Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, and Cal have to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And you know what? You got to pull your balls out, throw them around, hit the walls, and you got to do it. You just got to do it. You can't sit. You can't sit there. You got to have 2 or 3 plans, and you got to go hard at every one of them until one sticks.
All righty. Beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate your content.
Thank you. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Phone lines open, 763-260-1333. KW, Kansas State, California, Washington State, Oregon State to the Mountain West. Mountain West, I think they're going to increase. I think they're going to increase in membership here pretty soon. And I think the Stanford, California, I think they're the next dominoes to fall. I don't think Oregon State, Washington State is going to be what we hear next and where they go. I think it's all tied to what Stanford and California does first, does next. The next dominoes to fall. As we know, I peek around the corner. Realignment never sleeps. There is a domino effect to it all, right? It starts from the top. Right now, the top is California, Stanford. But then again, the big story is Florida State. We're all watching for it.
Call from
Wyoming.
Wyoming is on the line. Holy smokes. What's going on, sir?
Oh, not much. I'm driving in western North Dakota. It's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I think Oregon State and Washington State are going to go to the Mountain West. I don't think Stanford and Cal will be in the Mountain West. And I think they'll probably just do football only in the ACC.
Oh, okay. Football only. Yep.
Yeah, WCC and all other sports. But it's interesting. On another topic, was it San Diego's newspaper has reported that the Mountain West would possibly merge with the Pac-4, and the Mountain West would not include San Jose, Nevada, and Hawaii. And I know someone who's high up at Gonzaga, and they looked at exploring joining the Mountain West years ago, and they wanted to cut 3 schools out, and ironically, those are those 3. So I'm just kind of putting puzzle pieces together, guessing. So if they did that, I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzaga would be a possible partner they bring on for all other sports. And there's also GCU as well that they're looking at for the Mountain West.
That was San Jose State, and and Hawaii, and what was the other school?
Nevada, University Arena.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening.
I don't either. Tom Berman drives the bus in the Mountain West. And, they're all aligned, and they're not going to kick anyone out. And
I don't.
San Diego State's doing their antics, and that's what they do.
Yeah. I agree. I don't see that happening. But you believe Washington State, Oregon State joins the Mountain West, and I guess when that happens, if that happens, my dream of North Dakota State, South Dakota State joining the Mountain West probably dies, right?
Yeah, I would say that's the case because it doesn't add value. Because still probably Mountain West might get another $1 million, $2 million. My guess right now is Gloria Navarez is trying to draft up a contract to pay Oregon State and Washington State a little bit more than Boise State because they're going to take a hit when they join the Mountain West, and they don't want as many people in their athletic department losing jobs because that's the downside of going to the Mountain West. People are going to be out of jobs, and it's unfortunate. It's sad. But that's my guess is that they're trying to get something so their athletic departments aren't hurt so badly. But Washington State has ran their athletic department into the ground, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, Oregon State, if Mountain West gets Oregon State, they're going to jump to the top of your baseball hierarchy in the Mountain West. You know that, right?
Yep. They win national championships. They're a great program. And that's enticing for Gonzaga because they also have an excellent baseball program.
They do, Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully something happens this week. If not this week, next week. It's got to get resolved here pretty soon.
I think it's probably going to be in another week because they're all going to try and find Power 4 spots now to land, and I just don't think there's any bidders on those 4 schools.
Yeah. All righty, Wyoming. Appreciate
All
it,
right,
man.
have a good one.
Call
Thank
again,
you.
sir. That's the Wyoming Cowboy on the line. Appreciate it. Super chat, Kenneth Maynard. Once again, thank you for your generosity to the show. Realignment is about football, but can you imagine how much fun basketball in the SEC will be with North Carolina, Duke, Virginia joining Kentucky, Texas, and Tennessee? Very exciting, absolutely. Great comment by Kenneth. Thank you so much again for your super chat. Football drives the bus, but basketball provides a lot of entertainment, a lot of bragging rights when it comes to these conferences. So, and a lot of money. It creates revenue. Let's not joke. Basketball is a revenue maker, and most schools only have two sports that create revenue for the athletic department: football and men's basketball. Some conferences, some schools have a third revenue maker. Some SEC baseball schools, they make a lot of money. A lot of tickets sold. Those stadiums are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I know the Minnesota Golden Gophers, men's hockey is a revenue maker. Not much, but it makes more than it costs for the men's hockey. But most schools have two revenue makers. Basketball is an important one, but football drives the realignment bus. Ohio State wrestling makes a profit. Probably Iowa wrestling makes a profit as well.
Call from
Kahuna Cougar Eric.
Cougar, I didn't get the first name. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Greg, this is Eric. I normally...
Yeah, you got it. I got an echo here.
This is Eric.
Yeah, Eric, the floor is yours.
I'll be very quick because I rarely ever call twice, but I just had to because it's important. I wanted to kind of set the record straight on something. Not a big deal, not upset with anybody or anything, but I just kind of wanted to set the record straight on ESPN and Disney and the financial situation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get that confused. But they've reported this over and over. They've showed the numbers. Disney is not doing well, and Disney's streaming components are not doing well. But the one part of that group that is carrying Disney is ESPN.
Yeah.
ESPN is very, very, very profitable and making a lot of money. And the layoffs at ESPN are because of Disney, not because of ESPN losing money. So ESPN is he was kind of putting the two together and giving the impression that ESPN was having a lot of financial problems and losing money. ESPN is doing very, very, very well. It's the rest of Disney that's having the problem. So I just wanted to point that out.
Beautiful. Thanks for clarifying that. That's absolutely correct. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate the phone call.
Thank you, sir, and have a blessed day.
You too. Bye. All right, phone lines open, 763-260-1333. Stanford, California, next dominoes to fall. Where are they going? We talked a little bit about the top 69 quarterbacks rated by 247 Sports. Drake May is number 1. Caleb Williams is number 2. Don't remember who number 3 is. Ewers, Texas Longhorns, was number 4. Michael Penix was number 5. So talk about where your quarterback should be listed in the top 69. Talk about the first game of the year, your favorite team. Who are they playing? How do you think? How is August camp going? I don't call it a fall camp. It's August camp. August camp, what are the reports for your team here in August camp? Are things going well? Have you had any serious injuries so far in August camp? Let us know here at Peek Around the Corner. Again, the phone lines are open 763-260-1333. 7 days left. 7 days left, Florida State. Are they going to pull the trigger? Are they going to announce withdrawal from the conference? 7 days left. There's a lot of people from Florida State, a lot of people from Tallahassee saying it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I agree with Penix being top 3 easily, or top 4. I don't think Ewer should be above Penix as well. I don't see how he could be at this point. I don't know where Tulua, the Terrapin quarterback, was ranked, but he was ranked number 2 according to Crab Cakes in Football, number 2 among all Big Ten quarterbacks. So that's pretty high. That's pretty high. Tony says ESPN profits were down 26% year over year for the year ending June 30th. This is all public information. Several women's basketball teams from Vincent Paterno, LSU, Maryland, Iowa State, Tennessee, South Carolina, Iowa, Connecticut are profitable. One of these days, I don't think it's happened yet, but one of these days, one of those Big Ten University women's volleyball programs are going to be profitable. They're going to become a revenue maker. Maybe it's already happened. But one of these days, if that sport keeps growing the way it is, a Nebraska, a Wisconsin, a Penn State to lead the way, a lot of fans, man, a lot of fans. They keep building more and more seating for those volleyball arenas. They keep filling up, selling out. The ratings keep going up and up and up and up in the Big Ten network. TH3, Nebraska has 3-4 moneymakers with women's volleyball. We sell out 9,000 stadium 20 times a year. We just sold out our 86,000 football stadium for volleyball. That's correct. That's correct. The volleyball, they're going to have a massive attendance for a volleyball game. So Nebraska's women's volleyball probably most likely is already a revenue maker. Elliot Cruz, the only way the ACC takes Stanford and California is if ESPN says they will rework the contract, getting back to a true market value. And that isn't going to happen. So no way does this become reality. I agree with you, Elliot. I don't see how it works. I don't see why Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, don't know why these schools would go for it. Makes no sense to me. It makes sense to me that the commissioner of the ACC is talking about it, having separate meetings within the ACC, having a presidential meeting, and then having a second athletic directors meeting to talk about the possible inclusion of Stanford and California, 2 remarkable institutions. I agree with Jim Phillips trying to create some positive energy, hopefully create some positive inertia in expanding. I don't see it happening. Maybe Phillips is trying to get something out there that might, I don't know, deflect everybody's eyeballs on what Florida State is about to do. I don't know. We shall see. We're going to lock it up here. We've been on the air for 2 hours here at Peek Around the Corner. I want to thank everybody for coming in this afternoon. Talking about the next dominoes of fall, California, Stanford. Where are they going to go? We don't believe it's Big Ten. We don't believe it's ACC. So where are they going to go? We got Mountain West. Ask the Chalk. As crazy as that sounds, we got Mountain West, ask the Chalk, because where else are they going to go? Possible independent for Stanford? Maybe. Possible AAC? Maybe. But they got to go somewhere. So before you leave our channel for this show, put down your comments. Where do you think California Stanford's going to end up? Before you leave, please subscribe to our channel. If you haven't done so, smash that like button. It helps us with the algorithms of YouTube so very much. Those people smashing the like button, you are doing us a great favor here at Peek Around the Corner, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all the wonderful donations to this channel this afternoon. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your phone calls. The PATC community is #1 throughout all college football YouTube channels. We appreciate you so very much. Keep your head on a swivel. You don't know when we're going to pop up. We could pop up tonight. Anytime. Anytime. That Florida State Seminole, that news breaks where they actually send a notice of withdrawal of the ACC, if that happens anytime within the next 7 days. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. You better believe Peek Around the Corner is going to go live with a big show because it's going to be a bomb heard around the college football world. So we thank you so very, 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 very much. Cypher, thank you for the last second super chat. Nebraska volleyball is profitable with a large NIL and about to break the women's world record single season attendance regardless of the sport. Thank you, Cypher, for reminding us all that. Nebraska's volleyball profit maker, and I think it's going to end up being women's volleyball profit maker for most of those Big Ten universities. It is a growing sport in the Big Ten, at least. So here at Peek Around the Corner, we thank you all for joining this afternoon. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.